So good afternoon everyone. My name is Freda Cervantes and now we were going to talk about the parts of computer hardware. But before that, tatanungin ko muna kayo if you have any idea about sa ating topic. Anyone can answer. So thank you Marjorie Olaer. Ano po yun? So maraming salamat po Marjorie Olaer sa inyong napakagandang sagot. Maaari ko po ulit kayong tawagin upang mag-opening prayer bago natin simulan ng tuluyan ng ating discussion. So maraming salamat po Miss Marjorie Olaer. Ngayon, mag-check muna tayo ng attendance para malaman natin kung may absent ba sa inyo or wala. So, may dalawa po tayong absent na kaklase nyo at excuse naman daw sila. So, let's move on na po. So, let's talk about teaching ICT and an exploratory course. So, nandito na po tayo sa chapter 4, which is computer hardware. Bago yan, let's identify first kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng computer hardware. Computer hardware includes the physical parts of the computer such as case, central processing unit or CPU, monitor or mouse, keyboard, computer data storage, graphic card, sound card, speakers, motherboards. By contrast, software is the set of an instruction that can be stored and run by a hardware. So kapag sinabi natin computer hardware ay tumutukoy ito sa parts ng computer such as yung case, yung CPU, monitor, mouse, keyboard, computer data storage, graphics card, sound card, speaker, and motherboard. Saka baliktaran naman, kapag sinabi nating software, ito naman yung instructions. Isa siyang set of instruction na naka-stored at niraran ni hardware. So ito po ang ating inside the computer. First, motherboard. The motherboard is the backbone that ties the computer components together at one spot and allows them to talk to each other. Without it, none of the computer pieces such as CPU, GPU, or hard drive could interact. Total motherboard functionality is necessary for a computer to work well. So kapag sinabi natin si motherboard, siya yung parang kumokonekta or siya yung nagtra-transmit ng para mag-function yung ibang parts ng computer or ibang components ng computer. Next, Central Processing Unit or CPU. A Central Processing Unit, also called the Central Processor, Main Processor, or just Processor, is the electronic circuitry that executes instructions comprising a computer program. The CPU performs basic arithmetic, logic, controlling, and input or output operations specified by the instructions in the program. So kung si motherboard ay nagsisilbing parang nurse ng isang computer, si Central Processing Unit naman ay nagsisilbing utak ng computer or brain ng computer dahil siya ang nagpapagana nito. Next, Random Access Memory or RAM. Random Access Memory or RAM is a type of computer data storage. A RAM device makes it possible to access data in random order, which makes it very fast to find a specific piece of information. RAM is considered volatile memory, which means that the stored information is lost when there is no power. So kapag sinabi nating RAM, isa siyang type ng computer data. Si RAM ay nag-access ng data information upang matransmit ito in random order. So, ang RAM ay isang type ng volatile memory which is hindi siya permanent. Hindi siya permanenteng nag-i-store ng information. Firmware. Firmware is a software program or set of instruction program on a hardware device. It provides the necessary instructions for how the device communicates with the other computer hardware. You can usually find firmware updates by going to the support or downloads area of a manufacturer's website. So kapag sinabi natin si firmware, isa siyang software na nagsiset ng instruction at nagsiset ng instruction sa hardware. Power supply. A power supply unit or PSU converts main AC to low voltage regulated DC power for the internal components of a computer. They also provide a signal to the motherboard to indicate when the DC voltage is in respect, so the computer is able to safely power up and boot. So si power supply unit naman ay nagpro-provide ng signal kay motherboard para i-indicate kung si DC voltage ay are in respect, so that the computer is able to safely power up and boot. Next, removable media devices. Removable media is any type of storage device that can be removed from a computer while their system is running. Example of removable media includes the CDs, DVD, Blu-ray discs, as well as diskettes and USB drives. Removable media makes it easy for a user to move data from one computer to another. So, from the word removable, so maaalis mo siya kahit na gumagana pa yung isang computer. Like for example, yung USB. Pwede mo siyang i-unplug while the system is running. So, natapos na nating i-tackle yung computer hardware. Next naman nating pag-aaralan ngayon ay ang mga input devices. Ano nga ba ang mga input devices? Let's see. In computing, as an input device is a piece of equipment used to provide data and control signals to an information processing system such as a computer or information appliance. Example of input devices includes keyboard, mouse, scanners, cameras, joysticks, and microphones. So here they are. Optical character. Optical character recognition or optical character reader is the electronic or mechanical conversion of images of type, handwritten or printed text into machine-encoded text, whether from a scanned document, a photo document, a scene photo, or from subtitled text superimposed to an image. So kapag sinabi nating optical character, ito yung mga machine-encoded text. Pwede din siyang scan document. Like for example, nag-print kayo. Yung output ng print is isa yung type ng optical character. Next is keyboard. A keyboard is for putting information including letters, words, and numbers into your computer. You press the individual buttons on the keyboard when you type. The number keys across the top of the keyboard are also found on the right of the keyboard. The letter keys are in the center of the keyboard. So lahat naman na natin alam ang itsura ng keyboard at kung ano ang function nito. So, Magnetic Ink Character Recognition or MICR. Magnetic Ink Character Recognition Code, known in short as MICR code, is a character recognition technology used mainly by the banking industry to streamline the processing and clearance of the checks and other documents. So, ito po ang example ng MICR. Kung makikita niyo po. Next, optical mark recognition. Optical mark recognition, also called optical mark reading and OMR, is the process of capturing human mark data from document forms such as surveys and tests. They are used to read questionnaires, multiple choice examination, paper in the form of lines or shaded areas. So, ito yung karaniwan na ginagamit nila, like for example, every election. Itong optical mark recognition na to is nagsiserve as binibilang niya yung mga boto na natin, yung mga binoto natin. Siya yung nagka-count ng votes. So next is memory unit. In computing, Memory is a device or system that is used to store information for immediate use in a computer or related computer hardware and digital electronic devices. The term memory is often synonymous with the term primary storage or main memory. An archaic synonym for memory is store. So, meron tayong tinatawag na primary memory at titingnan natin yung capacity nito. Primary memory has limited capacity as reflected in George Miller's famous magical number 7 plus or minus 2. That is, primary memory can hold about 7 items of information. It holds data or information that is currently being used by the processing unit. Capacity is usually in 16 to 32 gigabytes. Primary memory can be accessed by the data bus. Primary memory is costlier than secondary memory. Okay, next is the secondary storage. Secondary storage is non-volatile, long-term storage. Without secondary storage, all programs and data would be lost the moment of the computer is switched off. There are three main types of secondary storage in a computer system. Magnetic storage devices such as hard disk drives. So, magnetic tape. Magnetic tape is a medium for magnetic recording, made of a thin, magnetizable coating on a long, narrow strip of a plastic film. It was developed in Germany in 1928 based on magnetic wave recording. So, optical disc. Next na secondary storage is optical disc. An optical disc is any computer disc that uses optical storage techniques and technology to read and write data. It's a computer storage disk that stores data digitally and uses laser beams, transmitted from a laser head mounted on an optical disk drive to read and write data. So, natapos na nating itackle ang input devices kani-kanina lang. So, pumunta naman na tayo sa output devices. Ano nga ba ito? An output device is any piece of computer hardware equipment which converts information into human-readable form. It can be text, graphics, tactile audio, and video. Some of the output devices are visual display units, like for example, monitor, printer graphic output devices, plotters, speakers, and etc. So, kapag sinabi nating mga output devices, ito yung mga devices na nakikita sa labas ng computer or perceivable na mga devices. Gaya nitong display screen. Display screen means the display part of monitor. Most display screens work under the same principle as a television, using a cathode ray tube or CRT. Consequently, the term CRT is often used to place or display screen. Next, printer. In computing, a printer is a regular machine which makes a persistent representation of graphics or text, usually on paper. While most output is human-readable, barcode printers are an example of fan-expanded use for printers. So, that's all class. Meron pa kayong mga katanungan or clarification regarding sa ating naging topic for today? If none, maglabas na kayo ng one whole sheet of paper and we will have a quiz. So, multiple choice muna tayo. Directions. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Write the letter before the number. So, number 1. It is the backbone that ties the computer components together at one spot to talk to each other. Without it, none of the computers such as CPU or hard drive could interact. A. Computer hardware. B. CPU. C. Motherboard. Or D. Keyboard. So, time's up. Pass your paper in front. Okay, maraming salamat. So far, lahat naman sa inyo ay nakakuha ng mga matataas na marka. So, binabati ko kayo. So, para sa inyong assignment, so for your assignment, give at least 5 parts of computer hardware and explain yung mga function nila dito bukas. So, bukas natin malalaman kung, bukas ko na rin kayo grade-gradean dun sa mga quiz nyo kasi i-check ko pa. So for now, dito na po nagtatapos ang ating klase and class dismissed.